Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Malin back here again with another key takeaway video for my PBD reading challenge. This time the book is Fanatical Prospecting by the author Jeb Blount. So let's get right into it. The first key takeaway I got from this book is a 5-step telephone prospecting framework. This is especially valuable for me because I recently transitioned into an inside sales position. So I'm working on the phone all the time. So this framework has really added value to my life. So what is it? The first step is to get the person's attention, to get the prospect's attention. The way that we go about doing this is by using their first name. Everybody's favorite word is their name, which is why immediately you grab their attention and you've started the introduction. The second step in the framework is to identify yourself. Tell them what your name is and who you're with. So for example, hey, good morning, John. This is Malin with XYZ company. And then that leads into the third step. Tell them what you want. So for example, hey, Mark, this is Malin with XYZ company. I'm calling to set up an appointment. And then that goes into the fourth step, which is bridging with the because. The statistics are incredible. So when we use the word because, it increases the likelihood that people are gonna do what we say. Just giving a reason, whether the reason makes sense or not, increases the likelihood that people will comply with you. So for example, hey, good morning, Mark. This is Malin with XYZ company. I'm calling to schedule an appointment because I recently took a look at your and then you go into the reason, whatever it may be. So the first step, get their attention, use their name. Second, identify yourself, name, company you're with. Be transparent, be direct, and be professional, especially in the B2B space. A lot of the rapport building happens at the back end side of the sales process. A lot of key decision makers have a lot on their plate, so they want you to get to the point and to respect their time. So get their attention, identify yourself, tell them what you want, bridge to a because, give them a reason for what you want. And the fifth step, which is key in any form of sales, is to ask for what you want. And the way that you ask for what you want is, again, being assumptive. After you go through the 4 steps, you ask for what you want, you ask for that commitment. Asking is really the name of the game in sales, whether it's to overcome objections or to close the deal. The second key takeaway I got from the book is something called the turnaround framework. Now this is to handle objections. It's 3 steps. The first step is to anchor. What is anchoring? Whenever salespeople gets an objection, what tends to happen is we go into our fight or flight response. What does that mean? It means we're operating highly emotionally. We're flustered. We're not thinking straight. So the idea behind the first step of anchoring is to give yourself time or space to allow your logical mind to start catching up with you. When you're in the fight or flight response, it can fluster you. So anchoring allows you to ground yourself. And we go about doing this by something called the ledge. Now, a ledge is a statement, it could be a question that gives yourself some time to gain control of your emotions so then you can go back into the conversation and maintain control of it. So for example, let's say I'm hit with an objection and I start getting flustered, fight or flight kicks in. A ledge would be a pre-rehearsed statement or question that gives myself some room to collect my emotions and then get back into the conversation. So for example, I get hit with an objection. Hey, yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly why I called. And then you go back into it. At least by saying something that you've rehearsed, you give yourself time to gain control over your emotions, stay composed, and then continue to have control over the conversation. The second step to the turnaround framework is to disrupt. Now, what we mean by this is breaking the pattern. It's a pattern interrupt, because just as much as I am conditioned after years of developing certain habits, good or bad, prospects are also conditioned to really say no to sales people in general. That's because nobody really likes to be sold to. There's an agenda. You don't know if the person really has your best interests at heart, X, Y, and Z. So after anchoring, you disrupt, and a great way to do this is by agreeing with what the person said. So let's say the objection is, yeah, but you guys are just way too expensive for us. Hey, yeah, absolutely. That's actually exactly why I called. We definitely are known for our higher prices. Now, by agreeing with what they're saying, it almost puts them on their back foot and they're like, oh, I did not expect you to agree. Another way you could do this is, let's say the situation is, oh, I'm not interested. A good way to break that pattern to agree, yeah, that that makes sense. A lot of the people typically aren't interested to begin with. And then you go back into the next part of the sales conversation, which is the third part of the turnaround framework, which is to ask, either asking for a commitment or really just moving the conversation forward. Now, the author stresses that when you do this, you must do it confidently, you must do it assumptively, and without a lot of dead air hanging. So you want it to be a very smooth transition from anchor, disrupt to the next stage of the conversation or the ask. And then the third key takeaway has to do with mental toughness, especially around three main components of mental toughness. Jeb talks about how it's very important, A, to be optimistic. Why? Because optimism is the mother of perseverance. If you want to stick it out in the long game, you have to lean at least slightly on the side of being optimistic. The second part of that mental toughness is competitiveness. A lot of salespeople are highly competitive, and there's a reason for that. Competitiveness is the mother of persistence. The going gets tough in any endeavor that we're involved in. So if you don't have that competitiveness, that drive, it can make it a little bit more challenging to persist through the harder times that we go through. That competitiveness can help drive that level of persistence to really succeed. And then the third part of mental toughness comes down to the need for achievement. And why is this important? Because the need for achievement is the mother of self-motivation, to be self-governed, to be self-disciplined, if you will. Having that need for achievement, clarity of vision, clarity of goals, and being emotionally invested in them to accomplish them gives people the power required to continue to go without needing it from an external source. It generates intrinsic motivation, if you will. So those are the three key takeaways I got from the book. I hope this added value to your life. If it did add any form of value, please like and subscribe, leave a comment in the video, and if you haven't already, check out one of the 3 previous books that I've read this year as part of my PBD reading challenge. I appreciate you guys always tuning in. Thank you for watching. Have an amazing day.